Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Weekly Shonen Jump Breakdown for the week of October 16th, 2017. My name's Trey, this is the Full Spectrum, and let's get started. So we start off this week with a Boruto chapter, and this is Boruto 17, Ow. This was a decent chapter. There were some problems that I had with it that almost immediately got taken care of, and then we were right back at the beginning, basically. So, the chapter starts with Konohamaru and the Kara member that we had seen before about to attack him, and Konohamaru finding a port on the side of the vessel and pulling out a Ninja Scroll flash drive. I'm of two minds about this. For one thing, I think it's actually pretty clever, because they'd already be hidden on his body along with the others. Nobody would know what was a scroll and what was a flash drive. That's pretty smart. The alternative, though, is that I know they're going to market these. That's not even a question. They're going to sell these, and people are going to buy them. And it just felt weird, because it pulled me out of the chapter, because as soon as I saw him pull it out, and call it out by name, and say, oh, this scroll flash drive should do the job, I was like, okay, alright. Yeah, that's going to be a thing people can buy within the next couple weeks. That kind of gets cut off. We don't really get to see what happens there. But then we go back to Boruto, who is talking to his father and Sasuke. And Katasuke's back, so that's nice. But Boruto starts talking about hard work and guts. Which, yeah, to be fair, he learned that lesson with the Chunin exam. He learned that that's the only way to get ahead. And Naruto gives him a mission, and Boruto acts like a spoiled child. And tells him no, and goes off to sulk. But here's the thing. Since we all knew he was going on the mission, and then later on Boruto tries to act cool about how he's like, yeah, I guess I gotta go. It's like, don't have him act like a spoiled child. Just have him tell his father, I'm not happy with this, but alright. And then later on his friends go to try to encourage him, and he gets to act all cool about it. Because he acted like a spoiled child, it kind of just sets the whole thing off as like, oh. Alright, I guess. Past that, Mitsuki was super creepy this week. Like, extending an arm around Boruto and to grab his chin like this and kind of cradle it. It's very clear that he's Orochimaru's spawn, creation, however you want to word that. Past that, everything to do with Ao was really good up until the end. To combat, I feel like it's a little early to combat Boruto's feelings on the scientific ninja tools, but to combat Boruto's feelings on the scientific ninja tools like that, and just cover them like that, and for that to be followed by, I'm actually a bad guy, and when I said that it's a good thing we're not enemies, it's because we actually are enemies. It's like, come on, guys. This whole thing with Owl was super cool, and then now it's just, oh, here's another new bad guy with scientific ninja tools. And then, like, what was the point of Owl's line of, it's time for me to go back to the battlefield after 16 years? He already had clearly proven he still has the skills when he almost stabbed Boruto in the throat. Also, if he's a bad guy, and they think that Naruto and Boruto might be enemies, I get why he might not want to kill him right then. Like, that seems like a bad time. They're on a crowded train and everything. But he could have marked him with something. And maybe the argument is he hadn't been given his mission yet. He didn't actually think him and Boruto were going to be enemies yet. But it's pretty clear by the way he says, it's a good thing we're not enemies, that he's going to be an enemy anyway. And then to have it revealed at the end of this chapter, it's like, okay. Alright. And then Boruto's like, I can't wait to see him again. It's like, okay, guys, that's pretty on the nose. That's pretty on the nose. Next up, we have Black Clover 129, The Life of a Certain Man. This was a really good chapter. This was a very, very short chapter. Everything to do with Xerxes' past is really cool, in my opinion. Because we keep getting this dynamic of the nobles and the peasants, and we keep getting this dynamic of how magic seems to be selecting just the nobles, except for like a handful of peasants, and how the world kind of revolves around this whole system of the nobles have power and the peasants don't. and that the Wizard King and the Magic Knights really disrupt that by a large margin. And to see that Xerxes' dad was the first Magic Knight that wasn't a noble is really cool. To find out that he got shot in the back, maybe that's why the Wizard King seems so intent on making sure the teams work better, and that the different leaders are in charge of their teams more. It also explains why he looks the way he does, because his dad made him that doll. And it also explains why he's super quiet all the time. And it's because he's super angry all the time. I love everything to do with Xerxes as a character. I'm afraid that he's going to quickly devolve into just a stereotype. Like, he's just going to be the angry guy that helps out because he secretly appreciates and respects the main character. And that kind of character's fine. I just want Xerxes to be more than that, and I feel like him overcoming his past with his father is the best way to do that. So I'm hoping in these next couple chapters we see him put the beat down on Langris for what Langris represents, and then be able to move forward some, if that makes sense. Everything to do with him putting the magic circle on himself was really cool. It would also probably explain why he sleeps so much and like is napping so much, and that's because he's putting constant strain on his body by doing that. The only thing, again, that I'm worried about is with that last panel and how good some of these panels were this week, is that Xerxes is just going to be like also super angry, like Langris, and lose it, and then Asta has to take them both out or something. I don't know. I have concerns because the last time we saw a character step up to be really cool, it still kind of defaulted to Asta to clean up the mess, and I don't want that to happen this time. I know this fight is supposed to be Asta versus Langris, but Xerxes getting involved is really cool in my opinion. So, moving on to My Hero Academia 156, The Power of Those Saved. This arc just gets better and better. I love this arc. If you had asked me before what the best arc in My Hero Academia was, I probably would have said the tournament arc. I honestly probably would have. Or the opening arc with Deku, like, learning about All Might and everything. This arc is the best arc in My Hero Academia. I almost said in One Piece. No, Eve's Lobby is the best arc in One Piece. So, you have Toga pretending to be Deku. You have her tricking Ryuku's team and sending them down to help Deku and the others against Overhaul. They plus Ultra. First off, that's always a great addition to a chapter, is to have a plus Ultra. And they do it in a really cool team-up move. The League of Villains wants Eri for some reason. Deku just immediately goes into action when he sees the girls land down there, and it tells Arakira to go ahead and get Night Eyes to safety. Overhaul sends Eri flying and catches her. And then this next scene, where Mirio's cape is thrown up into the air as well. And without even thinking, Eri, who has been looking for so long for something to have hope in, who was given hope the first time, the only time, by Mirio, remembers what he said about capes, and reaches out and grabs it. And when she does, it gives her just enough courage, just enough of an idea that she can finally escape all this torment that Chisaki has put her through. And she activates her quirk. And it just undoes the transformation. It rewinds time and sends him back to himself. He's no longer fused. He's on his own again. And he's furious about this. But then you see Deku also grabbing the cloak on the other side. The cape, that is. And it hits so hard. Because this whole arc has been about this little girl. And honestly, this whole arc has been about how Mirio wants to save her. And after how hard he fought, and how badly he got beat down, and how he lost his quirk, and he's fought for everything here. And never given up. Not until his body gave out and he couldn't walk anymore. He's the one who saved her. Not Deku. Not Night Eye. Not All Might. Not Arakira. Not even Ryukyu. Mirio saved her. My boy. And he deserved it, too. He put in so much work to rescue her. Oh, man. Great chapter. Great chapter. Next up, we have Food Wars 235, The Alchemist of Gourmet. So this chapter is another Aizen chapter. We're spending a lot of time focusing on Aizen, but from the end of the chapter, we can tell that next week will not be an Aizen chapter, most likely. It will be a Takumi chapter, because Takumi's got something planned. But the majority of this chapter is about his dish and about Seorine and how it works, which is really interesting. I had no idea. That's pretty cool, actually. Maybe I should cook with some artichokes sometime. It actually, when you get the full explanation of it, it makes his plan super clever. Because he timed everything out right where his dish will be fine, Takumi's will not, but then the next person's dish will be fine in case it's one of his teammates. We also get to see how he works with using food to get ahead in the world with money and business, which is really interesting to me. That's the thing that Food Wars every once in a while addresses, and it feels like it's going to come up more as we move forward into this arc with the backstory with the chairman and Erina's grandfather. But it's really interesting to me that they can use these talents to get ahead in the world, and to see that Aizen is using them to basically lie, steal, and cheat to build up business partners. I mean, he's not doing anything illegal. It's just real dirty. But what does that matter to him? He's Aizen. We also get to see that his title of the Alchemist is not anything to show. That he's a terrifying opponent. But again, Takumi has a plan up his sleeves, and I'm assuming it's that he mixed something else into the pizza. Or that it's not a pizza at all. That he made something else to be able to throw off that Seorine. But good chapter. I enjoyed it. I always like these learning chapters, because as much as I love character development, and I love the action, and the moment-to-moment back and forth, these learning chapters set the stage for later stuff, and I guarantee you this isn't the last time we hear about Seorine in this manga. Good chapter. Next up, Dr. Stone 31, Friends Have Each Other's Backs. Frome refuses to go along with Senku's plan. Tells him he 10 billion% has to come back alive. This is a really good scene in my opinion, where Chrome even, punches beside Senku to be like, no! Listen! That's not how friends work! And Kohaku remembers how she also said pretty much the same thing to her dad when he tried to tell her that that she'd have to take over for Ruri because Ruri was going to die. And Kohaku denied that because she wanted to give Ruri a reason to keep living. Ruri has been struggling all this time to stay alive because she knows her sister doesn't want her to die. And that's very poignant to me. That's very powerful. It's also really powerful when Senku starts saying, it's just more smart if we send only one person to the thing that might kill us. And Chrome denies that logic, saying that their chances would increase if both scientists were on board. Chrome then appeals, in the smartest move, I think, to Senku's sense of friendship, by bringing up Taiju and Yuzuriha. Not only this smart from Chrome's perspective, this is smart from the mangaka's perspective, because it reminds all the readers that, oh yeah, Taiju and Yuzuriha are doing something really dangerous right now. Huh. That's going to be an interesting story when we get there. I almost hope at this point we don't get there, that we just start getting information being sent, and that we never actually go back to Taiju's view, because I think it's way more funny to just be like, oh yeah, that's going to happen one day, and then it never happened. Obviously, Senku knocks fists with him. Chrome has won him over. He tells him it's his fault they need to make an extra gas mask. And then Kohaku has this whole thing where she's wishing that Chrome could marry Ruri, because clearly Chrome is a good guy. He's proven that he's a good guy. And, she laments that it's probably going to be Ginro or Kinro that get to marry her. And then offers him her. Kohaku offers herself, and Chrome's like, no thanks. What I love about this is, again, it proves a couple different things. Kohaku doesn't care about her own self that much. She wants to help her sister, and that's it. And so if it will make things better, she will offer herself up. It also shows that these are all friends and they can make jokes, because clearly Kohaku didn't think Chrome was going to take it super seriously. It also shows that Chrome's feelings for Ruri are not a lie, because he doesn't even consider it. It's just no thanks. And then, of course, you have Kohaku being like, you could at least pretend to think about it, but I really like these characters, and I'm really afraid that when Tsukasa shows up, this whole arc has gotten us, with Senku in this village, to let our guards down a little bit, I think. In that this is, we had that moment where Gin almost died, but this manga started with Tsukasa desperately trying to kill Senku, and then almost succeeding. Like, this is not a safe manga for characters. I don't know what you're probably thinking. Well, Senku almost died but didn't, and Gen almost died but didn't, which means it's safe. The characters are good. No, it just means when the characters do start dying, it's going to mean a lot more. Because there's no way characters don't start dying. The action has been too visceral already, and they are clearly showing the dangerous side of science, too. Somebody's going to die. It's just probably not going to be one of the main characters first. I could be wrong. Could be somebody real big that dies first. I hope it's not. I like these characters a lot. But we shall see. The chapter ends with the mask being made and the containers being made and a tag team revenge match beginning. And I'm very excited to see how this goes. Again, I don't think either of these characters are going to die yet. But if they do, this would be a really touching chapter coming up next if they do. Next up, we have Robot Laserbeam 29, Yozan's Strength. My cat is trying to climb up beside me. Hey, buddy, what's up? That's okay. You don't have to freak out. It's okay. So this is a pretty good chapter. This whole chapter is about a little boy and Yozan and Robo. And we see that Yozan he seems a bit concerned about his hit. He wants to be able to show Robo that he can do it because his rival's here and he doesn't want to lose in front of his rival. But it's an insane shot. And right as he goes to swing, this little boy yells out that Yozan could do it. Because of course he does. He's a little boy. He doesn't know the rules. He doesn't know you're supposed to be quiet. How could he know? Everybody just starts ragging on this boy real hard. And Yozan is, I almost said Senku. Yozan is just barely able to stop his hit. And he goes up to the boy, and he puts his head on the boy's hat, and tells him, "Thank you for cheering me on. It really fired me up. Next time, cheer me on from inside your heart. I'll hear it for sure. I'll get the message loud and clear." And everybody's just like... So then Suzaku, of course, is a bit concerned about Yozan going back up to the pitch again for the second approach. And Robo sees that Yozan is much more relaxed than he was before. And Yozan goes up and he makes a crazy hit that breaks all three wind barriers, goes an insane distance, and lands on the green. And the crowd goes crazy. I'm talking just yelling so loud the panel itself is shaking. Suzaku is shivering. He's so excited. As of course, Yozan gets a birdie, or an eagle, and wins the whole tournament. And Robo is going, my heart started beating really fast all of a sudden. Why is that? It's like, 'cause you're getting excited, boy! You're getting ready to face your rival. You want to take him down now because you see what he can do. This is a really good chapter. It was pretty short, but most of Jump this week was pretty short. So, that's not a huge knock against it, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. Moving on, we have We Never Learned 35, A Genius Secretly Dances to the Foolery of X. This was a chapter. And was this a chapter? Okay, so, Yuiga and Takemoto are nervous around each other when alone because of the whole stuff with a crush. Furuhashi tries to help. She sets him up on this little date where she is sitting on a bench right behind them. And there's a couple pretty good gags here. Specifically, she disguises herself to try and make sure they won't see her. And the thing that actually is able to pull off the disguise is that she added a bunch of pads. And so they go, oh no, that couldn't be her. And it's sad, but it's also pretty funny. Past that, the entire course of the chapter basically is Yuiga and Takemoto texting Furuhashi and saying, my friend has this problem, my friend is doing this, my friend needs advice, and Furuhashi giving them advice and trying to start conversations so they can work it out together. And, of course, every conversation goes back to another awkward moment that has come before, as we have seen all these different various awkward moments that have happened between the two, and they just clam up immediately as soon as they start talking about these awkward things. And so Furuhashi is just like, Sekijo comes in for a rescue, without even realizing it, by interrupting the text chain and making Furuhashi send the text to the wrong people. And so she sends Yuiga a text about a ponytail. And Yuiga tells Takamoto her ponytail is cute. And for just a moment, dear viewers, Takamoto tried to steal the best girl spot from Kurisu. It didn't happen, but she tried. And with the say it again. Just one more time, say it again. Those were some fluff panels, but they were good. They were good fluff panels. That was some good fluff right there. No words. Finally, they're back to normal. Everything's good again. And you have probably my favorite gag in this entire issue this week, which is Furuhashi is sitting there in front of Yuiga playing with her ponytail. Because she also wants Yuiga to compliment her ponytail, and he doesn't get it at all. He immediately thinks she wants a reward for helping him. And she's just like, I don't want a reward, okay? And it's so good. Because Yuiga, he wouldn't have even complimented Takamoto's if not for Furuhashi. Like, he doesn't know how to talk to girls well. At all. And so I just love that she's clearly baiting it out. She's clearly asking for it. But as a guy, sometimes you're just not paying attention to when a girl's messing with her hair and wants you to compliment it. I don't know. I don't even really pay attention when guys mess with their hair and want you to compliment it. But I really enjoyed this chapter. You also have the final gag, which is Ogata and Sekijo, and how the text that was meant to go to Yuiga about being true to your feelings went to Sekijo, and now her and Ogata are friends. That's pretty good. A friendship was born from a misunderstanding. A genius secretly dances to the foolery of X. This is a fun chapter. So, good job. Next up, we have the Promised Neverland 59, Choose Your Weapon! The cover page shows Ray and Emma training the other kids. Specifically, Emma showing Dawn how to hunt, and things like that. We see the Nameless Man show them the armory. They discuss what they want to take, and the Nameless Man tells them to watch and learn. He takes a rifle, he has his knife, and he takes some extra ammo, and so they decide that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to watch and learn. They also recall what Sanju had told them about moving fast and being able to run, and so they want to take some pretty light stuff. Emma chooses to take a knife, her bow and arrows, and a small gun, and Ray takes a pistol that looks like it has a compass in it. I don't know why we were covering that up. Maybe that's supposed to be a surprise later, but I'm almost positive that was the size of a compass that we saw. They're able to take Ray's bandage off finally. Emma still has to be there, but Ray's ear is healed pretty well. And everybody says their goodbyes. This is a pretty short chapter. But then Gilda is MVP, and Gilda basically tells the Nameless Man boldly that if both of them don't come back alive, she's blowing up the shelter. So if his plan was to get rid of them on the road, or if his plan was to cause an accident, or to abandon them and then come back, that Gilda would blow it up. So now if he still wants to do that, he also has to take out Gilda as soon as he gets back. Which makes things way more dangerous for everybody involved, but also adds a layer of security where in the moment, he might not even think about it. He might go, I gotta protect my home and defend one of these kids, Emma or Ray. So this was a really good setup chapter. Again, I say it every week since we started doing this show, things are going too well. Something's gonna happen, and I'm really afraid when they get back, some of the kids are gonna be dead from these poachers. But we'll see, I guess. Really, really strong chapter. I like that the kids were using their smarts for what they'd learned before from Sanju. I mean, these kids have proven over and over again that they're really smart, and that's how they've stayed alive. So it's good that they're still falling back on that and not just falling back immediately on the, we have guns now! I didn't think they would, but there was a small doubt that maybe they would get a little gun crazy with these. Also, the other kids saw where the armory is, and I worry that they might take some guns and the shooting might alert some demons. But we shall see. Finally, for this week, we have Lycopene, the Tomatoy Poodle, Cuteopia's Merry Band of Friends, the gag manga. There are some pretty good jokes here. The ones I wrote down all the ones that I thought were pretty funny. Mayday was really good. That one actually got a good laugh out of me. Where Lycopene is saying, it'll be a real May Day, because her name's May May. Lycopene is able to extend his tail and write with it and draw, and he drew a very, very nice photo of our main character, in a completely different art style, which was great. The big party and how everybody was like, I'm gonna go watch YouTube. Sorry. And then we're still at the party. That was really good. The gag where he walks into his girlfriend's room and she is taking a shower and is upset because she was naked. And Mei Mei is like, but you're always naked. And then, again, bunch of references this chapter. A lot of them to different types of sausages or wiener, which is, it wasn't funny, but I smiled. Does that make sense? I don't know. This one is going to be one of those weird things for me where everybody's take on gag manga is going to be different. And some of the gags hit really hard for you, like the Mayday one did for me, and some of them just don't do anything at all. That said, as funny as I think Mayday was, I'm not laughing now. Whereas with Gintama, I look back on the Neo Cyclone Jet Armstrong cannon. Jet Cyclone Armstrong. Jet Armstrong's like... Either way, I look back on that cannon, and I can't stop but smile or chuckle or anything like that every time I think of it. So, I don't know, your mileage varies on gag manga. Mag-ganga? Your mileage varies. And I enjoyed this chapter. I'll keep reading it for sure. I just don't know that it's going to be something that... I'll write down my favorite gags every week. I can promise you that. Now for the lightning round! I got carried away there talking about gag manga and how it works. Boruto Chapter 17. Ow! This chapter was really good in the middle and then turned really bad by making this guy immediately an enemy. So I'm going to say it's a flat 0. I enjoyed parts of this chapter. I really disliked parts of this chapter. Flat 0, no ups, no downs. Black Clover 129, The Life of a Certain Man. Great! Great chapter. Gotta forgive the short length, but I loved everything about Xerxes' backstory. Looking forward to more of that. My Hero Academia 156. Great chapter. Great chapter. My boy Mirio was able to save Eri. He's the only one who's been able to get through to her. Great job, Mirio. Food Wars 235, The Alchemist and Gourmet. I actually really enjoyed this chapter. Everything to do with the Searine and Aizen showing out and Aizen being demeaning again, but not being over the top like he was last week, where instead he's just gloating now. And Takumi being ready at the end. Excited for that. Dr. Stone 31, great chapter. Loved everything to do with Chrome getting through to Senku, the references to Taijo and Yuzuriya, the stuff about Ruri and Kohaku. All that was really good. Very excited for that. Plus we got that really nice page, that really nice panel of Senku and Chrome back to back in scientist coats, lab coats. That's it, lab coats. That's what we call them. That was really cool. Robot Laserbeam 29, Yozan Street, really good chapter. Really enjoyed everything to do with the little boy and how he didn't understand how golf worked and how he was excited for watching Yozan and Yozan's reply and then Yozan's shot and Robo and Suzaku's replies. Really good. We Never Learned 35, good chapter. I enjoyed quite a bit of it, though it got us back to the status quo again, but there wasn't really that much movement in any direction, and a few of the gags fell a little flat for me. I didn't very much enjoy the final gag, though, which is why this is not a mid-range. This is a good chapter with Furuhashi. Promise Neverland 59, Choose Your Weapon. Good chapter. Again, another setup chapter leading into everything to go. We got the reveal of the armory last week, so that wasn't a big surprise this week. And then they didn't really take anything crazy, although there was a really good panel where Emma tried to carry a bazooka and was like, nah, this is not going to work. So yeah, really good chapter. Looking forward to the next. Gilda's play at the end was really bold. And then finally, Lycopene, the Tomatoy Poodle. The gags were okay. Not too great, not too bad. I really enjoyed Mayday, but, it is what it is. So we will be back next week with another edition of the Weekly Shonen Jump Breakdown. My name has been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that Jump has to offer.